He uses Groken's magical repair box to repair his mysterious hunter shield. The shattered shield was quickly repaired, without a scratch. After that, he used the cleansing stone again for his brief bathing purposes. The remaining time to reach the 6th floor challenge is 1 hour and 12 minutes. Since there was still a lot of time, Sung Yoon decided to take a quick look at the challenge rankings and community boards. Sung Yoon rose from 16th place to 3rd place in the rankings. He began to ponder if this situation continued, what he would get when he reached the 8th floor. Next, he logged into the chat community, but the chat community was extremely chaotic at this time. One of them loudly said, "Buy the skill to resist adverse effects. It will help a lot in killing and stealing other fake challengers' items. If you don't buy that skill, you will never be able to kill, rob or betray, because when doing those things you will be affected by the fear and anxiety effect." Another player acted saintly, asking everyone to stop robbing and killing, a bunch of inhumane people. But everyone has been forced into this situation. How can there be any humanity left? Your own interests must come first, and achievements in killing and looting are the most useful things. Sung Yoon stood in a corner thinking, the skill to resist adverse effects is the most actively traded skill currently. It is like a double-edged sword. Although its effect against psychological instability is quite good, it also has limitations when used. The user will have to spend a place to be able to carry that skill and only use it in a few cases, but Sung Yoon thinks it should be brought along no matter what. The community continued to stir up excitement because of another piece of information. Someone said to send a message to the group chat. "Hey everyone, did you know that the bastard who gave us the information on the 4th floor has changed his name to Princess Sudi?" Information from other players kept pouring in to Sung Yoon. Even though it's just a competition between fake challengers, are they really planning to kill him together? Sung Yoon asked himself, is that guy the one who vandalized the 4th floor? I remember that he actively made everyone hate each other. Sung Yoon put the group chat aside. The name Princess Sudi, you will remember this name. A while later, the 6th floor challenge also arrived. This mission is called Conquest. Time limit is 50 minutes. To overcome this challenge, Sung Yoon must take over one of the surrounding stations within a limited time. If you fail, you will die or your time will run out. The reward for this challenge is a B-level mystery box. Sung Yoon entered the teleportation door of the challenge. This challenge takes him to an ocean. At that moment, the system continued to display 2 notice boards. Teammate allocation is complete. Cooperate with teammates to complete the challenge. Another teleportation door immediately appeared before his eyes, but he didn't see anyone coming out, maybe because he fell asleep. No one could see it, but suddenly a sword appeared in the sky, aiming straight at him. Sung Yoon immediately grabbed the sword. He forcefully pulled the sword down, and a young man with the sword was pulled out. The young man lost momentum and rushed straight forward. Sung Yoon walked up to him, then asked, attacking his teammates too, "What are you doing?" The young man was extremely overbearing, loudly speaking to Sung Yoon, "You will know the reason if you follow the community board. Killing people is the easiest way to receive rewards." Sung Yoon looked at him in shock. These words of prayer could also be said. He continued to ask him, "So killing teammates is okay as long as there is a second reward?" This young man seemed to deliberately not understand Sung Yoon's words. His face became more and more dangerous. Laughing at his question, "You hypocritical bastard, before showing off, look around." He told Sung Yoon what he did to his teammates to receive the reward. Not only that, he constantly justifies his actions. "You're not wrong. If you're to blame, just blame the challenge of this tower." He looked up at Sung Yoon, then chuckled at him. "Do you understand now?" Here, there are not only Sung Yoon and this young man, but also other players. They are willing to sell out their teammates to gain skills. Quote. The young man looked at Sung Yoon. He continued to say, "You also want that reward, don't you? So stop being hypocritical." Sung Yoon kept staring in one direction. The young man immediately took advantage of Sung Yoon not paying attention to him. Hastily pulled out the knife, wanting to kill Sung Yoon and already achieve the benefit. However, Sung Yoon was not as ordinary as the people here. He easily used the weapon in his hand to kill him. Sun Yun immediately received the betrayal achievement. His strength increased by 1. Sun Yun continued to return with a lonely appearance. His teammates wanted to kill him, so he killed them. He looked far away in one direction. It seemed that this challenge was no different from a normal event. But when you win with advanced skills, it's a pretty good mission. He will try to win this mission. He wouldn't kill people for no reason, but if someone gave him a reason, things would be different. Elsewhere in the challenge level, a player excitedly used a magic shield, and a circle of water immediately appeared around him to protect him. He proudly said, "This challenge is only for those who can use water attribute magic like me." His excitement didn't last long when Sun Yun appeared. He immediately attacked his magic shield, making him extremely confused, hastily asking who Sun Yun was. Sun Yun continuously stepped on the magic shield, creating immense pressure. The young man standing inside the magic shield frowned and reminded Sun Yun, "This is a bulletproof magic shield, bastard." Sun Yun ignored his words. He broke his magic shield. The foot kicked straight into his face. A stream of blood flowed out. He couldn't even resist, falling backwards. Sun Yun's actions immediately attracted the eyes of all the people nearby. The others did not want to become Sun Yun's prey, and quickly found another way to get to their destination. Sun Yun admitted that he was a bit too handsy, but that was the only way he could scare the others. To be honest, he really wanted a reward, but he didn't want to kill people for no reason. Sun Yun sat motionless. He only needed to stay in this base for 10 more minutes to be able to pass this level's challenge. Sun Yun began to think, the high-ranked fake challengers who did not use stones returned to the 5th floor. They must have completed the 6th floor and immediately rested upon entering this floor. Most of the fake challenges here are low rank, so it's quite easy for me. The 6th floor challenge made him think of many things. Not trusting anyone. Misplaced confidence is a mistake. This is the lesson that needs to be learned from this challenge. Anyone, even teammates, can be enemies. Even if you spare someone's life so they can go to another base, they will still die. At that moment, Sun Yun received a notification that someone was entering his base. When Sun Yun turned around, he discovered that it was a group of 4 people. The blonde guy opened the conversation, wondering why there were 4 people in the 2-person team challenge, right? Sun Yun didn't need him to answer. He already knew that the 4 guys going together combined the 2 teams together to gain an advantage over the other teams. The blonde hair darkened his face. Sun Yun guessed correctly. Now he will see Sun Yun go to the final step. 2 of them proactively stepped forward. Sun Yun immediately stood up, his defensive sword held in front of his chest. Another guy activated his heartbeat skill on Sun Yun. With this skill, his pain will be shared with Sun Yun. He proactively stabbed the knife into his hand. Sun Yun's hand immediately felt pain. The sword in his hand unconsciously fell. Sun Yun immediately activated the pain relief skill. All pain was reduced by 15%. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he rushed forward and poured seawater on Sun Yun. As soon as his body touched his water, his strength decreased by 10. Not only that, but his agility and strength both decreased by 10. Sun Yun could not believe that there were also adverse effects when touching seawater in this challenge. The group of people rushed to attack Sun Yun. Sun Yun still stood in one place. Perhaps this challenge would be extremely difficult if he did a normal fake challenge. But unfortunately, you are not normal, you are abnormal. These people still have no idea how strong an opponent they are facing. Sun Yun leaned to the side. His opponent's blade was deflected, pointing straight to the ground. Sun Yun grabbed his face with his bare hands. He had long read their plan. You pushed his head to the ground. Today you will show them what politeness is. They have touched the wrong person. Seeing how Sun Yun easily defeated his teammate, the remaining 3 were extremely surprised. Sun Yun didn't care what expression they were showing. He received the achievement of a killing move, and learned the F-level skill of contempt for the weak. With this skill, if the opponent cannot overcome any of the user's abilities, increase the power according to the difference in abilities. He was extremely angry when he lost his teammate, so he regardless attacked Sun Yun from behind. His contempt for the weak skill was activated. His strength increased by 1. Sun Yoon, who was standing before his eyes, suddenly disappeared. He suddenly appeared from the air, kneeling on his face. But, just that was not enough for Sun Yoon. He continued to somersault in the air, then stepped on his head. Sun Yoon continued to receive the Ruthless Murder achievement. His dexterity score increased by 1. You have defeated 2 guys. Now you will deal with the remaining 2. Sun Yoon slowly walked closer to the 2 of them. Black Hair didn't know what to do. He turned around and asked Blonde Hair, "What should we do now? Do we need to attack at the same time?" At that moment, the Blonde Hair brutally attacked the Black Hair. He brutally cut off the Black Hair's legs. Black Hair screamed in pain. Sun Yoon was still affected by his skill. He also immediately felt pain. Sun Yoon tried to endure the pain. He had to quickly think of a way to cope, but the problem was that his actions would still be limited because of the pain. Black Hair lying on the ground, screaming continuously. Luckily it was still human. The Blonde Hair seemed to have completely lost all humanity. He continued to stab the tip of the sword into the Black Hair's stomach. Black Hair started to feel scared. He begged Blonde Hair not to come close to him. "Please stop." Blonde Hair turned his head to look at Sun Yoon. He loudly warned him, "I will punch this guy if you come any closer." Sun Yoon tried to step forward. "Thank God you can still move because of your pain resistance skill. But at this rate it will be difficult to confront that guy. It seems that perhaps this is the only method, which is to kill the magician whose heart beats." Sun Yoon tried to endure the pain. He threw his weapon forward. His sword crossed the Black Hair's neck. Sun Yoon was in so much pain that he fell to the ground. The blonde thought that this was his only chance to finish off Sun Yoon. He rushed at Sun Yoon with his sword. When the pain bar almost touched him, he immediately used his bare hands to block the blade. He raised his eyebrows to look at him. The feeling of having his throat cut was really harsh. "You're also curious about that feeling, right?" Sun Yoon slowly stood up. He broke his sword. "I don't know what skill Sun Yoon used to kill him. I just saw his head tilted away from his neck." Sun Yoon still stood there. He received the Cold-Blooded Tower Climber achievement and received 1,500 points from the tower. The challenge rang out at the end of the day, and Sun Yoon successfully occupied a territory. Those who successfully passed the challenge cheered happily. They were still alive, hugging their teammates. Sun Yoon asked himself, was it someone who instigated so many people to be enthusiastic about the murderous achievement at the beginning of the trial? In the end, the winners are those who maintain their team. The measurement system sent a notification to him. He had passed the 6th floor of the trial tower. The B-level random box reward after completing the trial had been sent, and he also received 8,000 points. After that, he was taken to the waiting room. Before arriving in the waiting room, Sun Yoon quickly absorbed all the souls who had died at his hands. His proficiency in natural talent for necromancy has reached 100%, and his natural talent for necromancy has increased by 1 rank. Becoming a D-level necromancer, as soon as he entered the waiting room, a notice board appeared in front of him. A list of achievements had been created. Sun Yoon couldn't help but be surprised when looking at the list. He received the S-rank achievement as the first fake regression. Sun Yoon clicked on each item to review details. After that, he concluded something. He received quite a lot of achievements from killing. And when he received an achievement, it seemed he would be given skills, stats, points, and many other types of rewards. Sun Yoon continued to open the inventory. It was time for him to open this secret gift box. But Sun Yoon didn't expect much, because the items inside were all F to D rank items. But he just opened it to see first. As soon as the gift box was opened, a small creature suddenly jumped out from inside the box. Sun Yoon didn't know what it was, but its eyes looked at Sun Yoon with extreme caution. This blue creature started playing cat and mouse with Sun Yoon, challenging me to catch him. Sun Yoon was constantly being spun around by it, having a hard time catching it. This animal was small but brave. As soon as it was caught by Sun Yoon, it immediately bit him hard on the arm, making him cry until he cried. The beast escaped from Sun Yoon's arms. Sun Yoon's bite became even scarier. He originally wanted to give it up, but now he doesn't need to anymore. He rushed to its place. This creature immediately jumped high. and Sun Yun's whole body crashed back to the ground. Sun Yun immediately turned around, he somersaulted in the air, then mercilessly punched it in the head. There was a hole in its head, then suddenly it broke, and a wire appeared from inside its body. The system immediately sent him a congratulatory message. He received the highest ranked item, available from a random box. This item is called a Grade B wrought iron transmission, an iron transmission made by a skilled blacksmith who has worked with iron all his life. Skills related to metal and swords will be 7% more effective. When mana is inserted, the Blessing of Steel will be activated, requiring a constant supply of mana, however there will be no skill cooldown. Sun Yun received the transmission line and immediately wanted to test its features. The blessing effect of steel from the B-level wrought iron infusion had been activated. His skin had been adapted to the attribute, able to absorb 10% of damage from all physical attacks. This item is truly surprising. It's even better than an A-rank item. A cheating item because it has both attack and defense effects. Sun Yun quickly put the necklace around his neck. His mana was immediately depleted. The B-class wrought iron transmission's magnetic steel blessing effect has been deactivated. This transmission line really makes people go from one surprise to another. He guessed that the downside of this was that it consumed a lot of mana. He should still use it in times of emergency and accumulate his mana. Next, he checked his innate talent and discovered that it had just increased by 1 rank. Before he could check, the tower asked him if he wanted to challenge the 7th floor of the trial. Sun Yun quickly accessed the group chat. Not only him but almost everyone else had disappeared while waiting to disappear. Sun Yun just silently read everyone's messages. It seemed like the timeout disappearing didn't mean anything to everyone. It also doesn't benefit the pioneers anymore. They only care about getting home. Sun Yun also felt that the atmosphere now was different from the 6th floor. He unconsciously thought about those murderers. Everyone must have been quiet, because the next trial was just solo play, so there was no reason for them to draw attention to themselves. You have to be even more careful of those who treat your teammates' lives like trash, and you should also practice a new skill that won't be swayed by any other diverse skills. The trivial matters were over, now he had to look at his D-level necromancy skills. Then, he realized, the basic effect of the skill had changed slightly. Before, it only increased stats, but now it could change things like his magic or give him a defensive shield. Sun Yun originally expected this skill to increase the effectiveness of soul absorption, but it seems that it cannot. However, he still needed a defensive skill that could protect his body. Sun Yun took out the sword from the inventory. He deliberately threw the sword into the air, then raised his hand. He had to try to see how good it made the soul. The sword freely fell and touched his arm. A stream of air immediately flowed out from his arm. A notification appeared before his eyes. To avoid being harmed, the souls absorbed the damage. Sun Yun smiled with satisfaction. It was better than he thought. He decided to keep the soul of player Song Jin OC, using it for defense instead of absorbing them all. He continued to open the rankings. This time his ranking was pushed down to 4th place. Although Sun Yun was a bit disappointed, everything he did was just to be in the top 50, to be a pioneer. Sun Yun stretched his arms and chest a few times, then decided to go to the 7th floor. The goal of this challenge is to prove yourself. Completion time is 50 minutes. Conditions for passing trials. Pass 3 trials within the given time. Sun Yun was taken to a hallway. This time was very different from the previous trials. He didn't feel any presence at all, to the point that it almost made him uncomfortable. A light suddenly appeared before Sun Yun's eyes, and in a moment he was taken to the first training area. It asks him to prove himself by overcoming this fear. Sun Yun stepped up to the top of the mountain. He knew right away. It was a sand golem. Perhaps this place was where he would go through his training. The more Sun Yun thought about it, the more strange it became. Why did they bring him here? If it was before, he wouldn't have been able to defeat this beast. But now things have changed. He will show his opponent what politeness is. The giant sand golem appeared. It was even 3 times bigger than the last one. Sun Yun was no longer the Sun Yun of the past. He proactively rushed to attack Golem Cat. He started moving around, but couldn't find the original stone of this golem cat. Could it have moved the primeval stone inward while its body became larger? Golem cat's giant hand appeared. It approached, wanting to strangle Sun Yun. Sun Yun was held in the palm of Golem cat's hand, the words in its palm slowly flowing down. Golem's hand suddenly appeared with blue light. Sun Yun was making sword moves to escape. Its hand instantly turned into sand. Sun Yun successfully escaped from its palm. He began to think of another way to deal with it. If this method didn't work, he could only cut this golem into pieces. Sun Yun immediately did what he said. He continuously moved around it, delivering powerful attacks like a storm. Cracks appeared on the golem's body, but its body remained fused together. Sun Yun's plan to cut the golem into pieces failed. He could only find and destroy the golem's original stone in another way. Golem became more and more angry. It frantically attacked Sun Yun. Every step of the golem made the ground tremble. If it just steps on it, Sun Yun will probably be flattened like a shrimp. Sun Yun hurriedly ran forward, but in the end he was still buried in the sand field by this beast's footsteps. Sun Yun started to feel a bit uncomfortable. It wasn't as easy to chew as he thought. The sand golem walked forward with a fiery expression. Sun Yun quickly stood up. He couldn't just let it bully him. Sun Yun put the sword in front of his chest. He activated the powerful three-step skill. A sword aimed straight at the golem's stomach, splitting its body in two. Sun Yun took advantage of this opportunity, continuously launching destructive sword attacks. He was able to make its body crumble in just one blow. Before, he felt very upset when another challenger invaded his trial mission, but now he felt grateful to him. Thanks to him he had more fighting experience. Sun Yun understood the characteristics of the golem. It could regenerate its body with sand. He needed to continue cutting it into pieces until he found its original stone. Every time the golem regenerates into a new body, Sun Yun turns it back into dust. A long time passed, the golem kept regenerating. Sun Yun kept attacking. His sweat dropped, but he still couldn't find where the hell its primeval stone was. He suddenly discovered something. The monster in front of him was shrinking compared to its original stimulation. He casually complimented it, making its cheeks blush. Sun Yun's face became fierce again. He held the sword and asked it, "Hey golem, do you want to lose weight with me?" And then, Sun Yun continued to wipe at it, once again turning its body into grains of sand. Golem is constantly regenerating into a new body. Sun Yun just in time saw its crystal. The crystal lying on its back. He had finally found the crystal. He hurriedly approached it. The time limit for the 7th floor trial was only 40 minutes. He had to quickly handle this. Golem suddenly counterattacked, swinging his fist in front of Sun Yun. Sun Yun leaned to the side. He felt its movements gradually becoming more agile. Sun Yun also really wants to play with it, but he doesn't have time right now. Sun Yun suddenly moved back. He stabbed straight into the crystal on its back. Golem screamed pitifully. The crystal shattered. A notice board appeared before his eyes. You proved that you can overcome your fear. The first trial has ended. The portal to the second trial immediately appeared. Sun Yun hurriedly absorbed the golem's soul into his body, but before he could, he was defeated. The second challenge of the 7th level quickly appeared. He had to prove that he had surpassed his intelligence. This time, the tower takes him to OC's village, which is being burned by fire. Sure enough, just like what Sun Yun had guessed, this floor's challenges were taken from the previous floors. Sun Yun stepped inside the village. He saw a group of goblins standing there. The face was extremely pitiful towards the goblin lying unconscious on the ground. Sun Yun looked at them, thinking to himself, on the 2nd floor he destroyed OC village. Could this be what happened next? The octopus looked up at him with extremely fierce eyes. One of them trembled with anger. His eyes turned crimson. The OCs screamed at the same time. Sun Yun immediately realized that they were going berserk. This is a phenomenon that occurs when monsters are extremely angry. Sun Yun sighed again. His fate was so unlucky. The OCs came running crazy. Sun Yun was still standing in one place. He deliberately told them, but now that he thought about it, you guys shouldn't show your grief when you lose a family member so clearly. His instant acceleration skill was activated, combined with the 3 bookmark skill. Sun Yun ran towards them, ready to face them. With his strength, Sun Yun quickly swept away the ferocious OCs. On the ground now there was only one octopus left, but it still had to kneel before Sun Yun. Sun Yun stood in front of him, wondering and asking him, "Why, it hurts so much, you have to stand and watch your family die." OC was provoked by Sun Yun's words, extremely excited, completely losing his reason, rushing towards Sun Yun. Sun Yun just gently leaned back, he raised his sword, the last OC had his head taken away. The OCs were all destroyed, the system appeared in front of him, informing him that he had proven that he had surpassed his intelligence. The second challenge ended. Sun Yun remembered the first challenge, he couldn't absorb the soul of the sand golem, this time he couldn't let the opportunity slip. He quickly absorbed all the dead souls here, his ability increased by 6%, the current number of souls he possessed was 19 souls. In addition, his level E+ hunting skill has reached 100%, and his hunter knife skill has increased to level D. The instant acceleration skill also reaches 100%, becoming a D+ level instant acceleration skill. Sun Yun will enter the area of the third challenge now. The challenge required him to prove that he had overcome his hesitation. The third challenge took him to the trial site on the 6th floor. Sun Yun started to feel strange. The previous challenge was on the 1st and 2nd floors, so he thought this would be the 3rd floor. Sun Yun suddenly remembered the second challenge just now. The tower took him to meet those stupid OCs again and named him Wisdom. He felt foolish for demanding logic from this tower. After that, he opened the bag and used the D-level healing potion. He immediately felt his body gradually getting better. Sun Yun looked everywhere but saw no one, so he immediately threw the bottle of medicine into the sea with the aim of polluting the tower. At the moment he threw the bottle of medicine into the sea surface suddenly fluctuated violently, and the waves crashed loudly. The effect of his D-class assassin's cloak has been activated, increasing speed by 15%. The time left for him to complete the challenge was only 59 seconds. Sun Yun ran forward. So far he has completed all the requirements of the challenges, so that means to pass this challenge, he must find the red chasing brick. Until then, you cannot touch the water. Sun Yun tried his best to run forward, he couldn't let the water catch up with him. However, his calculations were not up to par. In a split second, Sun Yun accidentally touched the water, his strength, agility, and endurance were reduced by 10. The penalty time was 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Sun Yun ran across the bricks pushed up by the current, don't think you'll give up here. After a while of rolling around with the bricks, Sun Yun finally saw the red chasing brick. He put all his strength into running there, this ordeal had to end quickly. Things were much more complicated than that, the water in front of his eyes moved again. Not only that, it also directly attacked him. Sun Yun wriggled inside, absolutely unable to fail here. When he nearly reached the finish line, the stream of water behind him suddenly crashed down on his back, lifting him up into the sky. In this critical situation, the necklace he was wearing was effective. Unique effect, B-level wrought iron chain that protects against stone has activated. 10% of all physical damage will be absorbed. The soul in Sun Yun's body came out, helping him absorb damage that was harmful to the user, and at the same time the goblin hunter's soul was destroyed. Sun Yun acrobatically escaped the water, he continued running forward. The water still did not let him go, continuing to chase him behind. At that moment, the unique effect of the assassin's cloak ended. Sun Yun ran out of mana again, and the instant acceleration would soon end. What should Sun Yun do? He opened his hand, then formed a magic pill from the absorbed souls, he put it in his mouth. Magical power and mana have been supplemented by using goblin hunter souls. Sun Yun was full of strength again, the finish line was only a short distance away from him, difficulties continued to appear. In front of you is water, behind you is also water. Sun Yun was now completely surrounded by seawater. Sun Yun didn't have much time left. He used both hands to shield himself, then dove headfirst into the ocean water in front of him. He passed through the fierce water, using the spirit of the goblin hunter to protect himself. His shield was also destroyed by the water. Sun Yun flew into the air, then his whole body plunged down onto the red stone. The pressure from Sun Yun was too great. Sun Yun almost caused the stone to explode. Sun Yun had to spend 2 hunter souls to protect his body from this fatal blow. The number of souls he currently possesses is 12. Sun Yun struggled to stand up. A horrifying scene immediately met his eyes. The water still wanted to attack him even though he had reached his destination. Sun Yun held his breath and looked after it, to see what it could do to him. At that moment, the system informed him that you have proven that you have overcome fear. The third trial has ended. The ferocious stream of water suddenly disappeared, becoming a normal stream of water, pouring straight onto Sun Yun's head. A series of congratulatory messages from the system were sent to Sun Yun. He received a skill reward as elegant as the wind at level A, 15,000 bonus points, and received an additional reward for equipping speed shoes at level C+. The teleportation door appeared. Sun Yun was taken to the waiting room. Even though Sun Yun passed this trial, he still didn't feel satisfied. He almost failed this level. Sun Yun gritted his teeth that being on the 7th floor was so difficult. He didn't know what the 8th floor would be like. Your luck won't continue if you don't prepare well. While he was thinking, the system continued to send him a series of notifications. 1,000 people completed the 7th level of trials, and the system began to expand. The skill shop has been initialized, an intermediate trial has been created, the return point is available, the floor invasion system is active. These things appeared just when he needed them, a skill shop, a return point and even a cross-level invasion, but the most important thing for Sun Yun was aura. Sun Yun was now considered a vanguard challenger on all floors. The system asked him to choose his aura. Aura is the benefit that can be gained from being a pioneer at all levels. The system continued to send him another notification, challenging players with aura to receive characteristics, skills and effects. Please choose carefully. Sun Yun couldn't help but feel suspicious. In his memory, there had never been an impression of the trial tower giving advice. Could it be that the aura had a special meaning behind it? The aura selection panel appeared. The system gave him 3 choices: gunner, hunter and martial artist. Sun Yun was extremely careful before making a decision. He clicked on the detailed description of each option. He clicked on the detailed description of the sniper's aura to review it. Furthermore, the system also gave him advice, saying that this was the most suitable aura for him. Next, he clicked on the detailed description of the hunter aura. The system gave him advice. This was a slightly suitable aura for him. The gunner aura isn't bad, the hunter aura isn't bad either. Finally, Sun Yun clicked on the description of the martial monk aura, the words, "If you are incompetent, then your abilities are useless." Sun Yun pouted and said, "It's too bad." After a while of pondering the choice, Sun Yun eliminated the martial monk aura. He will consider the hunter and gunner aura. Mr. T, Mr. Teo. I like all of them, but this heart only has one. In the end, Sun Yun decided to choose the gunner aura. Immediately after the selection results were announced, the system told him, through the unique effect of the sniper's aura, characteristics will begin to evolve. The selection list will be based on the challenger's combat ability. Summoner using the absorbed soul, you can summon powerful immortal dry mist. As a swordmaster, both swordsmanship and magic will increase and any related skills will be learned 3 times faster. Master creation, item crafting skill increases, and any related skills will be learned 3 times faster. With these options, it was easy for Sun Yun to make a decision. He decided to add necromancy characteristics to the summoner characteristics. Some effects have been adjusted and additional effects have been added. A unique power that combines skills has been created. A unique power that combines skills has been injected into your body. Sun Yun finally has his own aura. Next, he continued to click on the properties panel. He could now combine 2 useless skills into a new skill. Sun Yun immediately created a new skill for himself. He decided to choose 2 skills to oppress the weak and fight continuously, combining them to create a completely new skill. 2 skills that seem unrelated but are unbelievably related, combined together to form a powerful level D destructive skill. With this skill, Sung Yoon can break through any limitations or barriers created by his opponent's innate skills or abilities. However, his mana level must be higher than the controller's to be effective. Sung Yoon was bewildered and surprised. He thought that two F-level skills combined together would create a new E-level skill. But unexpectedly, it turned out to be a D-rank skill that completely surpassed his expectations. Sung Yoon was extremely excited. He had to try combining a new skill. The next two lucky skills selected are the F-level ADC Knowledge skill and F-level Fire Resistance skill, and the E-level Enhanced Eyes skill is immediately created. This skill has the ability to have clairvoyance even in obstructed environments, and vision is also enhanced. Sung Yoon was a bit disappointed. The second skill combination was only level E compared to the first combination. Sung Yoon thought seriously. The two skills of Contempt for the Weak and Fighting constantly combined together. The result of combining Contempt for the Weak and Constant Fighting is quite good because their compatibility levels are compatible. So that means understanding radiation absorption and fire resistance are not compatible. Sung Yoon thinks that is the reason why his second skill combination only set level E. Sung Yoon jumped on the bed. He put his hand on his forehead thinking. He kept feeling that the glorious reward of continuously becoming a pioneer was strange. Was it really achieved thanks to your hard work, or was it just because you were lucky? Sung Yoon quickly sat up. He would temporarily put aside his doubts and see the reward first. A detailed description of the A-rank wind-like skill appeared before his eyes. This skill has the ability to increase movement speed by 10% as the skill name claims. This effect can stack up to 7 times. When the maximum stacking effect is reached, the skill cooldown time is 1 day. Sung Yoon's face lit up, which means that with this skill, he can increase his speed up to 70% and especially this skill does not consume mana. It is said that he is almost as elegant as the wind without any points. Weak. Next, he read the detailed description of grade C+ dermatitis. Sung Yoon is extremely interested in speed-related rewards. Sung Yoon continued to enter the skill shop. The list of skills he could buy was displayed before his eyes. Sung Yoon just looked at the skills in front of him and forced his mouth to speak. He didn't expect the skills sold in the store to be so fake and quite expensive. Even though the things sold here were extremely expensive for him, he still had to grit his teeth and buy them, because he still needed skills related to magic. Sung Yoon used 15,000 points to buy D-level mana induction, 12,000 points to buy D-level magic resistance skill. With these two newly purchased skills, Sung V can prevent himself from being affected by the same heart skill as before. After the transaction was successful, the mana sensor was immediately engraved into the user's body. He felt like he was being burned. A source of light emitted from his body, then gradually disappeared. Sung versus put his feet on the bed. He felt like his body was very light. He slowly stepped forward, started lifting his legs, then hit the floor hard. Sung Yoon was surprised with his steps. Just a slight movement caused a dent in the floor. Perhaps after learning those skills, it also helped him increase his physical strength. It seems that the points Sung Yoon spent to buy new skills are not as expensive as he thought. Sung Yoon continues to be curious about his skills. The system sends you an information board. You can use the dead spirit to awaken a dead person nearby. At this time, the awakened person's level will be proportional to the quality and quantity of souls used. Although Sung Yoon was also very curious, he decided to use it in the next stage. Sung Yoon's face suddenly became tense. It was time for him to make a decision: directly challenge the next trial, or return to Earth. Elsewhere, a guy seemed extremely worried. He kept looking at his phone. Until now no one had joined his party. At that moment, a group of 3 people walked in, then started teasing him. Still looking for members to join, huh? Why don't you give us your entrance pass? The pass will be revoked if you don't enter the gate within a certain time, so why don't you make some money and hand it over? The boy looked up at the person opposite him with an extremely disgusted expression. Perhaps this guy wanted to cause trouble with him. The young man still firmly told him, "You didn't deliver before, you won't deliver now." The man started to get annoyed with his attitude. If he was that stubborn, he would tell him a secret. Why was this place full of hunters but no one agreed to join his group? Because the boy was only an E-rank hunter. Who would want to team up with an E-rank hunter? Everyone here looked at him with disdain and mockery. At that moment, a voice rang out, cutting through the stuffy atmosphere in this place. Does your group still have room? Sun Yun stepped out from the crowd. He showed his hunter card, then introduced himself to everyone. You are Sun Yun, a C-rank hunter. Boy, you can't be happy enough. He quickly stood up and told Sun Yun, of course. The man felt that Sun Yun was extremely annoying, and roughly put his hand on Sun Yun's shoulder. You didn't see that everyone was waiting, are you blind? Sun Yun smirked and replied to him, if you were upset, you should have joined Li Cheon's group, which made the man even more mad. Sun Yun kindly warned the man to let go of that hand immediately, before I broke it. The aura emanating from Sun Yun terrified the man. If he was just an ordinary hunter, how could he have this aura? The person standing in front of him could only be a C-rank hunter like him. The juniors standing behind him, seeing the aura emitted, thought it was the man's aura and flattered him. The man was sweating and turned his head. He wanted to say it wasn't his breath, but he couldn't. The man realized that he was not Sun Yun's opponent. He quickly lowered his voice and told him that because the association's people were waiting, I would skip it this time. You should feel lucky. Then he quickly pulled his two juniors away. The boy scratched his head. He still didn't know Sun Yun's current ability, so he was extremely worried, thinking he had offended someone who shouldn't be touched. Sun Yun didn't even explain to him. He asked him, Hunter Li Qianwan, looking at the current situation, it seems like no one wants to join this team anymore. Let's go in. Qianwan was surprised. Inside the dungeon there were only him and Sun Yun, not Sun Yun alone. Sun Yun and Qianwan also had to step inside the door. As soon as Qianwan stepped inside, he was extremely frightened. He looked around nervously. Sun Yun turned his head to look. He reassured Qianwan not to be too scared. He could handle most of the monsters in the D-level dungeon. Sun Yun's assertion made Qianwan feel strange. He ventured to ask Sun Yun, Han Sun Yun. It seemed like this was his first time entering a dungeon. Sun Yun honestly answered Qianwan, this is his first time entering a dungeon, so is there a problem? Qianwan suddenly became serious. He said to Sun Yun, my next words will be a bit rude since we just met. But clearing the dungeon is a matter of survival. I think I need to make this clear. He then asked Sun Yun, between E-rank hunters and C-rank hunters, which one do you think has a higher death rate? How did Sun Yun know these things when he first entered the dungeon? Qianwan continued, most people think that hunters with low ranks like E-rank will die more easily. But the reality is that C-rank hunters, because E-rank hunters know they are weak, are always overly careful. While C-rank people are overconfident, their death rate is often higher than that. Qianwan even gave Sun Yun the most understandable example. You compare this to driving. The accident rate will increase if Sun Yun is too confident. The dungeon is much more dangerous than Sun Yun thought. Furthermore, now their group has no tanker or healer, so Qianwan is even more worried because of Sun Yun's overconfidence. After that, he suggested to Sun Yun that since he had a lot of experience in dungeons, he should let him lead the way. Sun Yun looked at Qianwan's current appearance and did not look like a liar. Although he also wanted to lead the team, he had no experience in dungeons, so it was best to let Qianwan lead the team. Better. Qianwan finally thanked Sun Yun for understanding. All of this was for the safety of both of them. The two of them continued to explore the dungeon. The first opponent they faced was the lizard man. Qianwan told Sun Yun, the lizard god famous for his mastery of weapons. Qianwan proactively said, he will come to provoke when the lizard man notices, and Sun Yun should aim for its loophole. Sun Yun can handle this monster, but he wants to see how Qianwan deals with it. The lizard man let out a roar. He proactively moved towards Qianwan. Looking at Qianwan's determined eyes, I thought he would rush into a crazy attack with the beast. But what he was doing was standing in one place, then swinging his sword wildly. Sun Yun looked at him curiously, thinking that this was an eye fight. Sun Yun is increasingly impatient to see Qianwan perform. He only has 3 days to return to Earth. Time is money to you. You don't want to waste it on a lizard man near the dungeon entrance. Sun Yun walked over. He told Chai An-wan, let him take down this beast. Chai An-wan wants to stop Sun Yun because he is afraid he is in danger. But he just needed to use the instant acceleration skill. He rushed to where the lizard man was standing. One move turned the lizard man into smoke. Sun Yun turned his head to explain to Chai An-wan. I interrupted because I was in a hurry, so I hoped he would understand. Next, Sun Yun had a suggestion for Chai An-wan. Chai An-wan nodded vigorously. Sun Yun could say anything. He suggested to Chai An-wan, from now on let him be the team leader. Chai An-wan has witnessed Sun Yun's true strength. How dare he have an opinion on his request? The deeper the two of them went into the dungeon, the more lizard people appeared. Sun Yun easily overcame them with his skills. He alone swept them even more. Sun Yun takes Chai An-wan from one surprise to another. Sun Yun in Chai An-wan's eyes is like a monster. This is no longer an attack by the lizard people but has become a massacre of the lizard people by Sun Yun. All the lizard people from the river became prey under Sun Yun's sword. After destroying the lizard man, Sun Yun casually went to the corpse of a lizard man. He used a knife to cut open its belly and took out the lizard man's mana core. It is very useful in alchemy or crafting. Sun Yun put all the mana cores inside his backpack. Chai An-wan felt extremely guilty. He told Sun Yun, I'm sorry I couldn't help you with anything other than carrying things. Sun Yun doesn't care about that at all. While the two of them were talking about the spoils of war, behind Sun Yun suddenly appeared a beast. It rushed at him like an arrow. Sun Yun leaned to the side. The lizard man's sword pointed straight forward. Sun Yun punched it with his bare hands and flew it up the cliff. The lizard man died on the spot. Because of that, the dungeon also began to shake violently. Sun Yun hurriedly told Chai An-wan, let's talk about it after going out. It might be dangerous if we lose concentration. Before leaving here, Sun Yun quickly absorbed the souls of the lizard people he killed. His proficiency increased by 0.7%. Sun Yun couldn't help but be surprised. He had absorbed so many souls, but his proficiency was still only 0.7%. It seems that it is now difficult to increase proficiency with D-rank monsters. The two of them continued moving, and soon arrived in front of the boss's room. The first time Chai An-wan went to the boss room, he couldn't help but feel happy. His original goal was to clear only half of the dungeon. Sun Yun turned and asked Chai An-wan, I want to go to the boss room, how about you? Chai An-wan naturally wanted to go into the boss room, so the two of them went inside together. In front of them was a lizard man beast sitting on its throne. Sun Yun asked Chai An-wan to wait here. He would directly confront this beast. Chai An-wan hurriedly stopped Sun Yun. Sun Yun had to at least have a plan to deal with it. He couldn't just rush in recklessly. As soon as the lizard man saw someone breaking into his room, he became extremely aggressive. He continuously screamed to show his power and actively attacked Sun Yun. Sun Yun was extremely calm. He even smiled with satisfaction. Although Sun Yun had a plan for this battle, what he did not think about was its movement speed, completely different from the beast's inherent giant appearance. Sun Yun quickly backed away, safety first. Sun Yun arranged a room around the lizard man. He couldn't believe he didn't chase its speed. When Sun Yun thought he could attack the beast, he pointed his sword at the beast. However, the beast immediately noticed his actions. It waved its tail and attacked him. Sun Yun was thrown into the cliff by the beast's attack force. Kian-won was extremely confused. His big idol had been beaten to a pulp. Sun Yun pushed away the stones that were burying his body. He was so excited as he walked out. He was able to keep his life because he was protected by the soul inside his body. Being attacked by a monster with such a fatal blow still did not make Sun Yun falter. He felt even more excited as he spoke. That's right, it has to be at least this difficult so I can properly try out new skills. Sun Yun stared at the beast's chair. The chair was broken, but he didn't understand why he felt an uneasy feeling in his heart, as if signaling something unfortunate was going to happen. The beast's body radiated a terrifying murderous aura. It screamed, and a beam of light shot out from its mouth. Sun Yun is affected by the monster's slow movement skill. All movements will be slowed by 25%. Powerful destructive skills are activated at the same time. Sun Yun has twice the magical energy slow movement skill users have. All slowing effects on movement have been disabled. The beast looked at Sun Yun in surprise. Sun Yun was even more surprised by the skills he had just moved. He was a bit uncertain because it was a skill created from combination, but it worked quite well. The atmosphere between Sun Yun and the beast was extremely tense when Cheon-won's scream for help rang out. You need to ask Sun Yun to help you, your body can't control itself. The beast's eyes immediately turned towards Cheon-won. Sun Yun immediately noticed something unusual. The beast is rushing towards Cheon-won. Sun Yun hurriedly chased after it. You speak loudly to the beast. You are its opponent. Death is getting closer and closer to Cheon-won. Can he escape this fate? Sun Yun realized he could not keep up with the beast. In a difficult situation, Sun Yun immediately activated the ability to summon from the dead. The dry bones suddenly emerged from the ground. They stood in front of Cheon-won, trying to protect him from death. However, the strength of the dry bones can hardly be an opponent of the beast. It just needs to brush its hands. The dry bones will turn into useless white bones. Sun Yun knew full well that the dry mists were no match for the beast, but that was only a temporary way for him to deal with it. During that time, he will activate the accumulated windy skill. All movements will speed up by 60%. The cumulative progress of his current skill is 6/7. The beast was cut into pieces by Sun Yun. Sun Yun sighed in relief. He had just saved Cheon-won and defeated the rolling Lizard King. Next, Sun Yun absorbed the soul of the Lizard King. His stats increased significantly, and his strength increased by 1 point. Agility has increased by 1 point, endurance has increased by 1 point, strength has increased by 4 points, endurance has increased by 5 points. Not only that, Sun Yun also absorbed all of the Lizard King's skills. The skill is called Spiritual Eyes. With this skill, during the match, he can see his opponent's invisible attacks. Elsewhere, an extremely depressed man said, other than the fact that 3 gates opened at the same time, nothing special happened. Then ask your staff. Nothing worth mentioning happened, right? The more he thought about it, the more strange and normal it felt when the Vanguard Hunter team left after destroying part of the gate. The association's demolition team will soon arrive and finish by defeating the boss. He himself also came from that association, so why didn't his team receive any commission? He felt extremely jealous of that demolition team. His eyes glowed because of money, he thought. If the demolition team cleared the gate in one go, then your management team would get the change. While he was thinking, the dungeon door moved. Sun Yun and Cheon-won walked out from inside. His staff loudly said that the third gate Vanguard team had completed the breach and had gone out. He quickly turned his head to look. His face suddenly turned into a confused state when he only saw 2 people walking out. He assumed that Sun Yun and Cheon-won went out after scanning half of the dungeon. His face was even more surprised when he saw the dungeon gate turning gray, which meant that the boss room had already been destroyed. He was extremely hasty, rushing to Sun-won's side and repeatedly asking him, did he break through the dungeon gate? Sun-won looked at him suspiciously, not knowing who he was. Why was he asking about these things? This guy quickly took out his business card and introduced to Sun-won that he was the person responsible for the gate that suddenly appeared in this park. Captain of the gate management team of the Shin Yujin Hunter Association. The purpose of his presence here is to offer to buy ownership of the gate. When Yujin was about to propose a contract to the 2 of them, Cheon-won quickly interrupted Yujin and told him. Then it's not something I can decide. Hunter Han Sung-yoon cleared this dungeon alone. Yujin was surprised. Sung-won was the only one who attacked the dungeon. Could it be that he was an A-level hunter? Sung-won immediately shook his head. He was just a C-level hunter. But that wasn't important right now. He suggested that Yujin get to the point. He directly asked Yujin, how much do you want for the ownership of the gate? If Sung-won had been so straightforward, he would have told Sung-won he wanted to buy it for 1,200,000,000 won. Elsewhere, Ha-seon is tired with her work. At that moment, she received a call. but when she saw the phone number displayed on the screen, she was extremely surprised. She received a text message saying Han Sung-won, who she met on the 4th floor, Lee Ha-son, if you come back can we meet sometime? Sung-won stared at the money in his account. The number is long with 10 numbers. Sung-won has currently earned nearly 1,300,000,000. The amount of money was so large that he never thought of it in his wildest dreams. A moment later, Ha-son rushed over. As soon as Sung-won saw her, he waved to her, Ms. Lee Ha-son, here. As soon as Ha-son sat down, he stared at Sung-won sulkily. She asked Sung-won, Ha-Sung-won, you don't even reply to my messages anymore. Do you know how long I've been waiting for your message? The young man with nearly 30 pots of bon chung has never heard these words from a girl. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed. His face turned red. Sung-won quickly explained to her that he was not interested in such things. So it seems like she missed her message. Ha-son started asking him, have you stopped climbing the trial tower? With Sung-won's personality, of course he hasn't given up yet. Furthermore, he was planning to continue climbing the tower. On the other hand, he proactively contacted Ha-son because he had something to ask her. He tells Ha-son he needs to join a guild, a place that will allow him to enter the trial tower and raid the dungeons at will. In addition, Sung-won also wanted the guild to meet his conditions. You have the right to refuse a summons from the guild not to access your activities inside the tower, the right to use the guild dungeon whenever you want. He seriously asked Ha-son, is there any guild that can agree to his conditions? The happy atmosphere is now gradually changing. Could it be that he asked for too much? Ha-son was silent for a long time. She suddenly called Sung-won's name, then answered him. The conditions he mentioned above could not be fulfilled. She explains to Sung-won, if he looks at it from the guild's perspective, they won't gain anything from him. Sung-won just sighed. Maybe he asked too much from the guild. Ha-son now proactively placed her hand on his hand, then proactively intertwined her fingers with Sung-won. She stared at Sung-won, then made an offer to him. She hoped he will join her silver guild. She will make his impossible conditions possible. The scene was moved to another place. Sung-won lying on the bus floor. He said, I will turn your impossible conditions into Ha-son's possible, still lingering in his mind. He continued to lose himself in thought, raiding dungeons, selling items and even joining the guild. He was really productive yesterday. Although in order to join the guild, he still had one thing to do. Sung-won remembered his conversation with Ha-son yesterday. She told him that in order for the guild to carry out Sung-won's unreasonable requests, he had to let his superiors accept his requests. You must clear the C-rank dungeon yourself. The freedom to use the guild's dungeon cannot be given to just anyone. That also meant that only a few people could reap the benefits of the White-Silver Guild's dungeons. Sung-won must be a rising star or a real challenger that the guild expects a lot. Sung-won with a determined look in his eyes, he told Ha-son to prepare a C-rank dungeon for him to overcome on his own. Ha-son and Sung-won shook hands. He assured him, he would not let him regret this decision. Sung-won was taken to Uzeng-bu Nojang District, Chun-bo Mountain. He decided not to take the bus anymore. He would run from here to there to warm up. As soon as Sung-won spoke, he began to act. He rushed forward like an arrow, in the surprise of many people. At the same time, Ha-son was standing in front of a dungeon door. She said to the guard here, hello, I'm here to make reservations for a raid on this dungeon in an hour. She gave her work card for them to check. The gatekeeper stood up to confirm her identity. After confirming his identity, he told her, there's still a lot of time, so you can sit under this tent and rest for a bit. Ha-son hadn't even entered the tent to rest when Sung-won appeared. As soon as you appeared, you brought the wind god and blew the hut away. Sung-won shyly said sorry. He ran so fast that it caused a shockwave. Ha-son half believed, half doubted. Could Sung-won really create a wind just by running? Is Sung-won really human? Ha-son brought him to the dungeon door. She told him, I have completed the legal procedures. Please let me know when you are ready. Sung-won has a hot temper. He just wants to start now. Before Sung-won raided the dungeon, Ha-son had a few words to say to him. We will begin the raid on this dungeon so you can prove your abilities. Sung-won and Ha-seon stepped inside, but this dungeon looked different from the dungeon Sung-won had broken. He was surrounded by a field. The scene was extremely peaceful. Sung-won told Ha-seon, "Give me a signal as soon as you think you're in danger." Ha-seon assured Sung-won, "You're fine. You're wearing an artifact that the guild gave you. The A-rank Queen's Necklace. It's an item that can create a shield, and even though it's not very strong, it also has the ability to be invisible. Besides, if monsters notice you, you can hide yourself." Sung-won temporarily reassured Ha-seon, "You can fight in peace without having to worry anymore." Sung-won unconsciously activated the Spirit Eye skill. He wondered, was this the skill he absorbed from the Lizard King? His eyes had changed color. He could sense invisible enemies, a formidable skill indeed. The bushes ahead suddenly made a rustling sound. Sung-won sensed danger. He flung gold and jumped high. From inside the bushes, a beast jumped out. They jumped up following his movements, not only one, but it also had its teammates. Ha-seon stood in a corner observing. She knew these monsters. They were monsters carrying deadly poison in the Sea Company dungeon. Ha-seon shouted loudly, asking Sung-won to be careful. This was a dungeon. Abnormal. Sung-won is not afraid at all. He constantly moves, continuously attacks, lightning-fast attacks that make the opponent unable to counterattack. Sung-won kneeled one, slashed the other, and very soon, he caused the poisonous beasts to be cut into many pieces. Ha-seon looked at Sung-won's fighting ability and couldn't hide his surprise. Sung-won could easily defeat them, but what seemed unusual was easily accomplished by Sung-won. Her face turned from surprised to radiant, her cheeks rosy. From the beginning, she recognized Sung-yoon's abilities, but she did not expect him to be so outstanding, making her even more convinced that her decision was not wrong. The monsters came one after another, attacking Sung-yoon. Sung-yoon walked in the air. He passed by a group of monsters. Some monsters were cut in half. Some were stabbed straight in the stomach. The lightning skill combined with the sword in his hand was activated. At that moment, a monster suddenly attacked him from behind. Sung-won immediately turned around. He grabbed its tail, then let it try out the feeling of the Earth's roller coaster. The beast lay flat on the ground. Sung-yoon waved his hand and said to Ha-seon, "You've cleared this place. Ha-seon can come over to your side now." Sung-yoon's fighting performance surprised Ha-seon. He was able to defeat the boss room in less than an hour, and even played solo. But, what surprised her most was that this was an unusual dungeon. The poisonous demon beast Sung-yoon just defeated is a monster that cannot be taken lightly. The poisonous demon is one of the monsters that sea-level hunters often face, easily killing a party. Sung-yoon can kill them with ease. Ha-seon looked at Sung-yoon's back. She was sure that Sung-yoon would develop even more, to the point where he could not be compared to his current self. After destroying these monsters, Sung-yoon continued to absorb the souls of the monsters into his body. His attribute stats continued to increase. Sung-won continued to enter the boss room in front of him. In his mind, the monsters he just fought were just ordinary, so the boss probably wouldn't pose too much danger to him. Sung-won and Ha-seon entered the boss room, but the place was extremely stuffy, making Ha-seon feel strange. As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly rushed down from above, separating Ha-seon and Sung-yoon. When Ha-seon was surprised and could not react to the unexpected incident, Sung-yoon realized the danger coming from that ray of light. It was not a normal morning light, but a beast. He ran over, hugged Ha-seon tightly, saving her from danger. The monster that couldn't hit its target became even more crazy. It started creating a ball of light from its mouth, then aimed straight at the direction where Sung-yoon and Ha-seon were standing. Ha-seon was extremely frightened. She pointed her finger behind her, reminding Sung-yoon that there was danger. The beast's ball of light landed, creating an earth-shattering explosion. The beast's attack was fast. Sung-yoon was even faster. He promptly brought Ha-seon to safety. Sung-yoon told you, "This is quite dangerous, so I hope you understand that I have to move us to another location without your approval." How could Ha-seon not understand those things? On the contrary, she felt indebted to Sung-yoon. The beast was still below. It looked forward and back, searching for the whereabouts of the two of them. Ha-Son suddenly asked him, "Do you want me to use an enhanced skill?" Sun Yun flatly refused. He rushed down. He just needed Ha-Son to give him a little time, he could handle it. Sun Yun landed. He stood in front of the monster. The monster was extremely excited when he saw him. Its meal had finally appeared. Sun Yun activated the ability to move instantly, and at the same time activated the skill as elegant as the wind. His current skill stacking progress has reached 7/7. The monster continued to attack him with the ball of light it created. Sun Yun no longer avoided it, he directly confronted it. When the monster was within the distance he expected, he used the 3 charm to attack it. Sun Yun only needed to make one attack. The beast was defeated. His body was no longer intact. His attack on the C-rank dungeon was a complete success. Ha-Son sat above observing the match. His eyes widened in surprise. He couldn't even distinguish who was the monster. Was it Sun Yun, or that monster? Right after that, Ha-Son and Sun Yun left the dungeon. She told Sun Yun, he passed the test and now he will be able to use the dungeons owned by the White Silver Guild. Ha-Son suddenly revealed another story to Sun Yun. She told Sun Yun, when he was called to the trial tower, the difficulty he chose was not important for those who had achieved good scores in the easy trials. Their next challenges will gradually become more difficult and vice versa. For those who choose the difficult level, if your score is not good, you can switch to the easy level. When Sun Yun participated in those rules, the fact that he had that ridiculous growth, despite his ranking being in the top 50 of the tower, meant that his difficulty level would be deadly. She reminded Sun Yun, it would be better if he was a little more careful. She wants to go with Sun Yun and see his development over the years. That night, Sun Yun sat on the building eating apples. After 5 minutes, he had to return to the tower. He started to think wildly. He had been busy for the past 3 days, but thanks to that, his stats had increased quite a bit and at the same time he had also more or less gained confidence. A stream of light appeared from the sky, and Sun Yun was immediately taken back to the trial tower. He had just returned to the tower and had accepted the 8th floor trial challenge. This challenge had special features compared to previous challenges. The tower asked him to choose a corner of the trial, including transcription, combat, and raids. Sun Yun then chose the combat turn. The notice board appeared before his eyes. The challenger Han Sun Yun had chosen to focus on combat, while for all the individual trials, you would not be able to change your choices after choosing them. Challenger Han Sun Yun has pioneering abilities. Sun Yun's face clearly showed surprise. He didn't expect this to happen to the tower. The system is looking for a manager who specializes in combat to chat with you. After the search process, the system chose Sun Yun as the manager of the Iron Blood Tyrant King, a person with expertise in combat. Right after that, Sun Yun's body was suddenly transported to another place called the World of Iron Blood.